So just keeping in mind coherence, big umbrella, and one part of it is cohesion, whereas cohesion is much more granular and much more nuanced. So you typically would write about coherence and cohesion together, and you might sort of pick some elements of coherence, and you would typically prove it through some examples of cohesion. So that probably sounds more complicated than it needs to be, but you'd combine all of these features, or many of these features would be written or talked about in the same sort of area, I guess. So coherence, let's do it. So cohesion, sticking together. Inference is basically the things that aren't stated but they can be worked out from the text regardless. Logical ordering, putting things in order. Formatting, the way things are set out, put into boxes, breakout boxes, etc. You probably think of a textbook if you imagine all the ways that it's sort of formatted to make it as readable as possible. Lots of pictures, lots of color coding. You know, you always know the questions are going to be in the bottom right-hand corner, etc. Consistency, just being consistent with itself, so that's mostly semantic patterning typically. And conventions, just think of the way that different text types look. And the acronym we use for this is CILF CC. Again, just to give you some examples, we're going to go through each of CILF CC in order. So cohesion, we're going to talk about that in a great deal of detail later, so not necessary now. Inference is, so if I told you in the top of the screen, notable examples include Paul Klee, Egon Schiele, Vincent van Gogh, and Franz Marc. So I know Vincent van Gogh, I know he's an artist, maybe a painter, not really an expert, but from that I can infer that this must be a list of artists or painters. If you knew more about art, you might say, oh, well, these are all contemporary artists, or they're all, you know, Art Nouveau. Hey, I literally have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you did, you might be able to get more information out of this sentence than just the list that it provides. Logical ordering. So this is pretty classic. You know, if you're writing an essay, your typical essay structure is teal. If you're telling a story, you go beginning, middle, end. If you've got a fancy English teacher, they might talk about, you know, denouement, resolution, conflict, all those sort of things. But basically, in our society, our cultural understanding, we have a particular way of ordering things. In other cultures, they might have a different way of ordering those texts or those ways of explaining things. Formatting, again, headings, images, spacing, captions, all those kind of things that make a text more coherent, easier to read, easier to understand. Consistency, mostly this is coupled with the next one, conventions. Consistency and conventions go together. In fact, a lot of these kind of interweave, go together, but it's mostly about syntactic patterning, so similar semantic field words or lexemes chosen. Then we've got conventions, and rather than me talk you through it, I'm going to show you some very blurred out images of some text types, and your job is just to think about, firstly, note down what text they are, and then think of what three features, again, looking at discourse, so very far away, and in this case, even blurred to make it harder for you to look at, what features gave away the fact that it was that text type. So this is text one, so pause here, write down three features that gave away to you what text type it is. Number two, same deal, pause. I'm hoping you can work that one out, being young people. And again, pause, three features. Likewise, pause, three features. Pause, three features. And again, this one's a bit easy because I couldn't really blur out the name especially well, but what text type is it and what three features give it away?